Gordon is on his way back to England. But the rest of them are all shut down because their writers are on strike. And that's one sure way to make those shows funnier. Who knew they had writers? That's like finding out Brian Stelter had a personal trainer. But on Gutfeld, my writers don't strike. I strike the writers.
Ah, see? Now he's whipping. There's video of, an old English galleon, that's a Spanish galleon, slave being whipped down there by the, sweaty guys with hairy backs. You know the video. You got that internet channel, right? Yes, sir. Well, happy hump day to you. Big day in the Clinton household, as we know. Hillary Clinton waking up again, face down in a pool of her own dried vomit. Bill Clinton's upstairs, the Energizer. Ding, ding, ding. Secret Service doesn't really even pay any attention anymore because, what are you going to do? It's the Clintons. They're throwing ashtrays and lamps at things, and it's hump day in the Clinton household and elsewhere. Welcome very much. We are, of course, at 888-630-9625. That's a toll-free telephone number for you, our beloved listeners, our audience, our customers, our guests. Thank you for joining us. And we've got a whole bundle of joy for you today. There are a lot of, because the Democrats are in charge, there is a lot of crime and transgenderism, a lot of mayhem, assaults on people, stores leaving cities, and there's a new transgender story today that's pretty great. Are you familiar with the band The Village People? Do you know The Village People? They do that YMCA, and they go like this, and they get the Y, and then the M, and then the C, and then the A. They do that, and that's a dance thing. Well, now it's really is, and then they have that song. That's another song called In the Navy. Isn't that their song? They have that song In the Navy, Michael? And boy, it turns out they are in the Navy, and it's kind of hard to believe, but a U.S. Navy appointed active duty drag queen is in a new diversity drive to boost sinking recruitment. That's a Navy ship reference, sinking, because recruitment, it's getting harder and harder because, of the kind of children we're raising for the most part. Doughy, obese, unathletic, unpatriotic. But we'll get into that because, they got an admiral over at the Department of Health and Human Services, might actually be transferred over to the Navy at this point. They call at Rachel Levine as the name of the person. And a senior official in the Biden administration at the Department of Health and Human Services has the title admiral, but is actually not in the Navy, might move over there now. A transgender person, you may remember that Admiral Rachel Levine at HHS played high school football with the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, known as Thoroughly Modern Millie. Thoroughly Modern Millie. It turns out there's no good music to go with Thoroughly Modern Millie, or we'd share that with you too. But Mr. White Rage, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who I ran into at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night, and I have a nice picture. Did we post that picture? We posted that picture of myself with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. I might be smirking just a little. And he's still trying to get in touch with his white rage. And he's white. He had to remind us of that while we were looking at him. And he's white, had to try to get in touch with his white rage. I wonder where he's looking, do you think? Wonder where he's touching if he's trying to get in touch with it. But it's an amazing thing. And ever since the Biden people came in, this has been a big issue. Despite Biden's orders, transgender recruits still wait to join the military. This is, honestly, this is your Democrat Party not exactly putting together Darby's Rangers for the scaling the cliffs at Pointe du Hoc, are they? But I'll get back to that because that's pretty wackadoodle. And there's a lot more that they're giving us, too. Merrick Garland, he's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States, America, the Attorney General of the United States. And he agreed to an interview where I think he lied. I think he lied again. He's somebody's lying here. And I've got that. It's about Hunter Biden and whether the so-called investigation is being politicized by Joe Biden's allies and colleagues in the Justice Department and the FBI and so on. Not that the FBI or the Justice Department have been politicized. Of course they have. Pretty amazing stuff. And Hunter Biden in Arkansas, because of the bastard daughter, Navy, kind of funny, there's Navy again. His daughter's name is Navy Joan. Navy Joan. I'm thinking maybe the exotic dancer from the Gentlemen's Club. Those are euphemisms that people use in Washington. The exotic dancer from the Gentlemen's Club in Washington, D.C., that Hunter Biden impregnated. Can you say impregnated on the radio? And then gave birth to a young girl, a very lovely young girl. And actually, the mom looks like a perfectly nice person, of course. And the little girl is 4 years old now. And Hunter is trying to get out of paying child support because he doesn't have enough money. He hasn't sold enough of his $500,000 spit art paintings. A spit art, is that? That's back to the Russian hookers. Hang on. Also, they're in New York City. They've got a security guard because of all the theft that's going on. All the Democrats stealing everything from the Walgreens in New York City. And a recently retired NYPD officer took a job as a security guard at the Walgreens there. And when a Democrat came in with empty bags, filled them up, and was walking out after, he's stealing a bunch of stuff, the security guard, a big guy, tried to stop him. And the thief said, "Hey, come on, let me go. The cops aren't going to do anything because, it's New York and it's a work-free drug place." It's an amazing thing, and all the illegal aliens are you can just steal everything up to, $950 or something and walk away, because Democrats are, the party of crime and criminals and open borders and gangs and fentanyl and illegal aliens. That's your Democrat party in a nutshell, and transgender Navy, and a transgender Navy. It's, at least they didn't start with the Marine Corps, but they're headed that way, I'm telling you. So the security guard at the Walgreens attempted to postpone the departure of the thief. The thief swung a heavy bag laden with stolen goods and hit the security guard, again, recently retired NYPD, hit him in the face. And there are pictures of him. He's got a big welt over his eye, and his glasses were broken and stuff. And so the security guard wrestled him to the ground and held him in place until the Port Authority police came to arrest the thief. But they arrested the security guard and threw him in jail, where he spent hours and hours in jail, and he's being charged with assault by the Democrats, who are the party of criminals and crime. That is to say that they are criminals and they are pro-crime. It's a pretty amazing thing. San Francisco continues to die. The latest major chain store leaving San Francisco on the heels of Walgreens. And remember, they closed their flagship Whole Foods store there. So you got no food, no drugstores, and now no clothes. Kind of perfect for San Francisco, really. You know what left there a long time ago, Michael? The soap stores. The soaps, no more soap stores in San Francisco, which explains a lot, too. So I'll update you on that. Joe Biden is sending now troops, U.S. military troops, active duty troops to the border. 1,500 of them. That's about one per mile. It's about one per mile for 24 hours a day. So if you do 8-hour shifts, it's one for every 3 miles. That's your Democrat Party. Pretty amazing stuff. And you may remember that Kamala Harris condemned the idea of sending troops to the border, military troops. But now she's going to say it's a real good idea. It's a real, that was then, this is now. Were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. Pretty extraordinary stuff. We have those T-shirts at the Chris Plant store and coffee mugs too that say, were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all. A lot of people like to use that turn of phrase now, and that's because it's a good turn of phrase. A CNN reporter was finally dispatched to the border. And where was she, Michael? In San Antonio. El Paso. Down in the West Texas town of El Paso, I fell in love with a Mexican girl. It's an old song. And the CNN reporter was shocked, and the anchors, they were shocked to find that there were large numbers of illegal aliens out on the street there. Pretty amazing stuff. And in Washington, D.C., they've now run out of hotel rooms for all the illegal aliens. That's in the Washington Post today. So many, and they're really complaining. It's like, come on, Greg Abbott. And it's, Mayor Lori Lightfoot in Chicago did this the other day. Come on, you guys, stop sending all the illegal aliens to these sanctuary cities where we rolled out the welcome mat and had gift baskets for them on top of our heads like Carmen Miranda. And just stop that. Make it stop. It's and now we've run out of. It's right in the Washington Post. Where is that rag? It's over here. It's pretty amazing that they're upset now that they've run out of hotel rooms and gift baskets for all the illegal aliens that have arrived. We're a border city. We border Maryland and we border Virginia. It's pretty amazing. And now we've run out of hotel rooms and gift baskets and free food and stuff for all the illegal aliens. And New York is complaining about this too because they have to spend so much money on all the illegal aliens. But still, nobody points the finger at Joe Biden and his policies because none of it is the fault of the Democrats. After they kill us all, it will still not be their fault. They have the brains of little children. Amazing stuff. So I want to share those stories with you because the Democrats couldn't be a bigger clown car if their goal were to be a bigger clown car. They couldn't achieve that goal. Of course, they don't achieve much in the positive sense. Pretty extraordinary stuff. Yeah, and as Michael pointed out, and it was Greg Gutfeld last night talking about all his writers. He doesn't have a team of writers like all the idiots on the shows, and Gutfeld has better ratings without writers. It's pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, no more shelter for migrants at D.C. hotels. That's on the Metro sectional, the front page of the Metro sectional of the Washington Post, Democrat Party rag. It's a press release every day. And boy, are they miffed. They're miffed because it turns out it's costing them a lot. Remarkable stuff. Yes, sir. And I did mention San Francisco is dying. Supreme Court stories, they continue to tempt the Democrats on Capitol Hill yesterday and the news media. But what's the difference? Attempting to delegitimize the Supreme Court, attacking with these really reed-thin, phony political attacks, and that's just the news media, on the conservative nominees to the Supreme Court. Justice Alito now under attack, Justice Roberts and his wife the other day, Justice Clarence Thomas and his wife, of course, under attack. But none of the left-wing ragamuffins that, look, they're allowed to violate any ethics rules if they want because they're Democrats. These are the rules in Washington. Maybe a few more rules. Just amazing stuff. Anthony Fauci, you may recall, you remember Anthony Fauci a while back saying that we will never shake hands again. We'll never shake hands again. None of us. It's not like just like me and Anthony Fauci, but all of America, the whole world will never shake hands again because of the Wuhan Red Death out of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, and which got funding from Tony Fauci's offices, and pay no attention to that. He said, never shake hands again. And when we come back from the Wuhan, we'll come back real slow, like we're just waking up from a drunken stupor. And we'll never shake hands again, he said. And you remember Joe Biden warning us in 2021 of the winter of severe illness and death for the unvaccinated. And now they're ending the requirement that in order to fly into the country, you've got to be vaccinated. So I guess that's all over with. They arrested the illegal alien in Texas. Amazing story. I thought he'd be long gone in Mexico. He's not only a mass murderer, he's a moron. But he was arrested, found him under a pile of laundry in a closet. He came out dressed like a woman. It was so now the Democrats are going to set up a legal defense fund. He didn't really come up dressed, but he was hiding under a pile of laundry in a closet. Just saying. So we got that. At the White House briefing yesterday, talk of 90% reduction in illegal aliens coming into the country. That was a giant lie, of course. And a wonderful story out of San Diego County, a restaurant that plays the national anthem every day at noon, and liberals soiled themselves about this. They've never been so frightened in their lives. I guess they didn't scale the cliffs at Pointe du Hoc either. We are at 888-630-9625. Hey, Chris here with some exciting news. Now you can listen to me live on the WMAL app. Doesn't matter if you're in your car, in the office, on the go. The WMAL app delivers crystal clear around-the-clock news coverage anywhere with cell service or Wi-Fi. So don't miss a second of your favorite shows. Download the WMAL app today on the Apple App Store or at Google Play Store. Yeah, we got our cup runneth over once again, thanks to the Democrats and their crazy hijinks. Yeah, great story out of San Diego County at the restaurant there playing the national anthem and causing Democrats to panic and plots and soil, the usual stuff. Let's go to the telephones, Michael, at 888-630-9625. Let's go to John calling from Silver Spring, Maryland. John, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, John.
How you doing today in the global cooling Washington day?
It is. There was climate change today, isn't there? It was warmer yesterday. It's colder and rainier today, and I scored that as climate change.
Exactly. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for planting a little earbug of a song this morning. My dad's favorite music, Marty Robbins, down in the West Texas town of El Paso. Awesome.
I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
That's right. And anyway, I'm going to sing it all day now, so thank you for that.
Sure.
But I also wanted to let you know about the absolutely fascist Washington Post comment section. It is hilarious. So I stole a phrase from you. Sorry.
Quite all right. Quite all right. Happens all the time.
I love it where they banned me permanently for saying that men make the best women. And I had to query them. You have to email comments at WashingtonPost.com. And they actually told me why they banned me. And they banned me because of, well, frankly, because of you, Chris.
Well, thank you. I don't want to take credit where it's not due, but I appreciate you crediting me with this.
Well, I stole the phrase from you, but I did agree with it the second I heard it.
Well, it's of course true, and the Democrats and the Washington Post, among the Democrats, have made this the case. You know, the best women golfer is a man, the best women track stars are men, the best woman swimmer is a man, the best woman weightlifter is a man. With the best poker player, there was a women's poker tournament the other day, and a man entered because he couldn't be excluded because of the law in the state. And he mopped the floor with all the women playing poker. So now the best woman, the women's championship poker player is a man. And this is what the Democrats have done by erasing women. Right, John?
Yes, indeed. I'm sorry, but they're going to ruin women's sports, I'm telling you. This is a truth right there.
Not just women's sports, but women and girls and, you know, in school where boys will be girls and girls will be boys. It's a mixed up world. It's a mixed up political party. They're Democrats. You know, their theme song is Lola, the Democrat Party's theme song. At their convention, instead of rioting, they should just play Lola. As our last brilliant caller, John, explained, he's been permanently banned from the Washington Post online comments because he quoted me saying men make all the best women. And I don't know why they would object to that. They promote that all the time at the Washington Post. The best athletes, the women of the year for in a variety of categories have been biological men. Maybe they prefer biological. Maybe, you know, John, if you went back and said, you can't do it, I guess, because you're banned, but have somebody else try this. Biological men make all the best women. And so if you acknowledge what they push, what they promote all the time, and say it out loud, the fascists that they are, and John correctly called them fascists at the Washington Post, for banning him permanently, because, that's what fascists do. And it's a free speech violation, and it just affirms what they promote all the time, and that is that all the best women are men these days. But were it not for double standards, liberals would have no standards at all, honestly. Isn't it extraordinary? I mentioned this yesterday, but I didn't get deeply into it. Florida man wins women's poker tournament. Florida man wins women's poker tournament. It's poker. It's, yeah, sure. There it is. It's in the back of a liquor store, and they've got a Florida man wins women's poker tournament, sparks debate over male inclusion. It's not boxing. It's poker, for crying out loud. It's making international news. Even overseas in Europe, they're covering the story because it's such a big deal. And you know how those Europeans are. The Washington Examiner probably has the best headline, Bearded Man Wins Women's Poker Tournament in Florida. Now, what's wrong with that? Did you see the arrivals at the Met Gala? Is it Gala or Gala? That you in New York, night before last, a friend of mine, yeah, it's Gala. A friend of mine in Florida was texting me, turn to E right now, the E channel. And I'm like, I don't even know where E is. And eventually I found it. And there was, I mentioned it yesterday, like a 6'4" man with a full beard, looks like he could be Dinty Moore, on a can of, what do they make, beef stew or something. And he looked like he'd be Dinty Moore, but he's dressed like Archduke Anastasia with, I guess, a ball gown or a prom gown or something like that. And he's got a, hairy shoulders and a hairy chest and a full beard. And we're supposed to take him seriously. He's one of the people. And then, what's his name? Jared Leto. Is it Leto or Leto? Yeah. And he showed up dressed like a cartoon character from something like, and he's got a full beard and dressed like a ridiculous woman. No woman would actually dress like that. All of this is a mockery of femininity, of feminism, of women. And as my best girl, I think she originated the phrase, they're erasing women. They're erasing women from the public square, from business. And again, the arrivals, they had this, where's Joan Rivers when you need her? Remember, she made fun of Barack and Michelle Obama and said, everybody knows Michelle Obama's a tranny. And about 2 weeks later, she was killed on the operating table, Joan Rivers, because, they don't like funny. They don't, I'm not saying there's a causal connection there. Just a coincidence, And they found her body rolled up in a rug in Fort Marcy Park next to Vince Foster. But that's another story. So they had this, a man dressed as a woman. I guess you'd call that person transgender because that's all it takes, right? And now the Washington Examiner, bearded man wins women's poker tournament in Florida. So you got a man who's the best female college swimmer. There was a man who won the Australian women's golf tournament about a month ago. Biological man. You got to say biological, otherwise you're a bigot. But if you say biological, you're a scientist. See? That's how it goes. And track and field, of course, the dudes who look like they could be playing wide receiver and tight end for the San Francisco 49ers. And they were beating the high school girls in Connecticut, right? In Connecticut in the track and field stuff. And the man who competed as a woman in the weightlifting contest, you'll be surprised to learn that he won quite handily. And now bearded man wins women's poker tournament in Florida. Luke Gentile wrote the story at the Washington Examiner. I hope that's not a slur. Is that a slur? Okay, as long as you're not talking about George Soros, I think that's okay. So a bearded man is going viral after taking first place in a women's poker tournament Saturday in Florida. In Deltona, Florida, a native of the town, David Hughes, entered the $250 buy-in, quote, Ladies No Limit Hold'em event at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, and he won. Can we say he? Because he entered a women's tournament, and isn't that enough? According to various reports, the event, which had 83 entries So David and 82 women, and somehow, the best women poker players are men. Well, as part of the casino's seminal Hard Rock Poker Showdown, and Hughes walked away with $5,555 in winnings, which he stole from the ladies. Hughes is described as a 70-year-old bearded man. 70-year-old bearded man. He was allowed to compete under anti-discrimination rules, which Florida state casinos must allow men to enter women's events. Well, then they're not women's events, are they? That kind of defeats the whole purpose. Man, they call him Flipper. When he made it to the final table, the final round, Hughes' presence appeared to rattle some of the ladies. Some of the ladies were rattled. Playing in the ladies' event today, and Dave is here as the only man. The only man. While we appreciate the dead money, isn't all money dead? I really wish men would get what these events stand for. Well, sure, isn't that true of everything? No, it's not, of course. It's not. Because the Democrat Party did this. You know whose fault it is that Dave, the 70-year-old bearded man, entered this event? The entire Democrat Party and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Now, let's go to the audio because this is great stuff. In Indiana, it's a state in the Midwest, Indiana councilman who came out as Native American lesbian. He was born male, assigned at birth as male. He's a Republican councilman in Delaware County, Indiana. And he announced the other day that he is now identifying as a Native American Indian woman lesbian. So that's a threefer. That's a hat trick. You'd think that MSNBC would want to give him a show, but no. This is making news overseas, too. White Indiana politician sparks outrage. They're always outraged, aren't they? They're always outraged about everything. They do this to everyone, and then they're outraged when you call them out and play their game and sometimes maybe even make fun of them. They're really bad at being mocked, aren't they? So white councilman in Indiana sparks outrage after proclaiming himself a lesbian woman of color who is living life as my true self, but angry trans local calls for him to resign. In fact, were they calling for him to be executed too? Yeah, executed. Because the left murders a lot of people. They love murder. So this is a fun story. Delaware County, Indiana councilman Ryan Webb actually appeared day before yesterday on my friend Vince Colonnese's show on the great WMAL in Washington, D.C., my mothership, where I am right now, as a matter of fact. And here is Ryan Webb, a Republican county council member in Delaware County, Indiana.
It's become complex. I thought that it was actually much simpler to not require everyone else to, participate in my own delusion. I just said, I'll continue. Everything's the same. You can continue calling me Ryan, he, him. Nothing in the world about me that has changed other than the fact that I now am identifying as a woman of color.
See, his pronouns are he and him because you get to choose that now. And there are benefits to they, them, right? Because you get to drive in the HOV lanes on the highway, and you can get on the elevator by yourself and tell anybody that walks up that the elevator is full. Sorry, the elevator is full. So here's Ryan, and he calls it his delusion. But look, it's his delusion. Who am I to judge?
It's not necessarily Indian. What it is it's Native American. I have quite a bit of Cherokee Indian heritage on both sides of my family, and that is what qualifies me as the woman of color that I am. But it's not Indian, it's Native American.
Well, that's, you don't want to use any slurs like Indian because Chief Wahoo would sue you, I think. And there he is. So he's Cherokee, which coincidentally, I know a senator that had a delusion that she was a Cherokee Indian because her papa had high cheekbones.
My papa had high cheekbones like all of the Indians do.
See, she called them Indians and papa and high cheekbones, and that's how she could tell that her papa, her grand something, hard to say, grandmother, grandfather had high cheekbones. I think it was her grandmother, but Grandma had high cheekbones, therefore, ipso facto, Cherokee Indian, because they all have high cheekbones, according to the former Harvard professor who was trotted out for events and things. Look, we have a Native American professor who's like the whitest person you've ever seen in your life, makes Doris Day look like Isaac Hayes. But never mind that. Here's Ryan.
Believe it or not, there actually has been some fair-minded Democrats who recognize that it's not rules for thee and not for me, and they understand that the bar has been set, the rules have been cast in stone, and whoever chooses to identify is free and welcome to do so.
That's exactly right. Although I would say there are Democrats who have, not who has. There's a singular plural disagreement there. Republican, he appears to be white, but again, you remember Melissa Harris Perry at MSNBC said if Elizabeth Warren says she's Cherokee and somebody told her that, then who are we to second guess her?
If candidate Warren grew up thinking that she is Native American by heritage, who are we to say that she is not?
That's exactly right. Who are we? How dare we judge, right? And then we had Rachel Dolezal, who had 4 white grandparents, 2 white parents, who claimed that she was black and became a leader of the NAACP because the Democrat Party has deconstructed reason. Pretty amazing. Ryan Webb is a lesbian now. Might appear outwardly to be a white man, but now he's a lesbian of color.
I leave the door open as far as whether it changes or not. I've said, the journey of self-identity is very complex. And, I'm just along for the ride. I don't know where it's going to take me, but oftentimes, in situations similar to this, an individual may find themselves right back where they started from the beginning. Now, who knows if that's where my journey will go, but, I'm free to let it take me wherever it goes.
It's a journey, see, and he's exploring his inner self, which can be uncomfortable, to be sure, even painful at times, but he's exploring his inner self. And he may end up just back where he started as what do we used to call that? A normal person, as a normal person. And at the Chris Plant store, we have Remember Normal t-shirts and Remember Normal coffee mugs because Democrats, Republican, Indiana councilman Ryan Webb.
What I've done here is basically held up a mirror to their own ideology and basically sit back and allow them to dismantle and destroy their own contradiction of ideology all by themselves with their own words and actions. So I don't know if they'll come to that, but they're going to be the cause of it. When
he says all by their self, it's because their pronouns are very often they and their and them. That's right. He's holding up a mirror to them, and they don't like that. They really don't like that at all. They're against that. They don't favor looking in the mirror because they might see a bearded lady there. And
I wasn't the one who was pushing for this story. I had declined every single interview just up until last night. I did my very first interview, and this has been going on for about 3 weeks. It was actually the intolerant left liberals in Delaware County who made it a point to contact all the news agencies and by their own words, quote unquote, blow this story up. So I give all the credit to them for making this happen. I've just been doing my own thing.
Minding his own business, just exploring his inner woman of color lesbian self. Little Lola for the Democrat Party. Boys will be girls, girls will be boys. It's a mixed up world. It's a mixed up girl. That was Lola. Yes, sir. That's your Democrat Party 2023. If you vote for them, hey, we've got the transgender Navy recruitment. They've got the Navy. This is the Biden administration, the Democrat Party. That was that interview from my friend Vince Colonnese's show. 3 to 6 p.m., WMAL in Washington. A great show. A great station. We're at 888-630-9625.
Caitlyn Jenner was voted Woman of the Year. Her first year as a woman. Ain't that something? Beat every in Detroit. She's better than all of you.
Exactly right. The great Dave Chappelle telling the truth once again. Today in the New York Post, the headline is U.S. Navy appointed active duty drag queen in diversity drive to boost sinking recruitment. That sure ought to do it, don't you think? U.S. Navy invited an active duty drag queen to be a digital ambassador. It worked for Bud Light. It ought to work for the Navy, huh? As part of a recent drive to attract the most talented and diverse workforce. This is what the Navy said. And then they put on a little musical on the deck of a ship. Just amazing. And combat plunging recruitment. Yeoman Second Class Joshua Kelly, who identifies as non-binary, was appointed as the first of 5 Navy digital ambassadors, like an influencer on the Twitter, right? And boy, and the Navy, they love music too. In the Navy, that's the Navy. You got to keep in mind, however, that the current chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who I encountered at the White House Correspondents' Dinner the other night and was gracious enough to pose for a photo with me, I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, and how's the white rage coming?" You may remember General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, said that he's trying to get in touch with his white rage, and he's white rage Mark Milley. Now, you got to keep in mind that he's the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and here's the headline from the National File, February 17th of 2022. White rage General Mark Milley and transgender health secretary Rachel Levine played football together in high school. Now, that's kind of out of the blue, isn't it? Actually, a deputy or an assistant secretary, the title is still secretary, and you have to say Madam Secretary because Rachel Levine biologically assigned a male at birth. This is what Democrats insist everyone say now. Rachel Levine, transgender, has the rank of admiral, strangely enough. It's a health service thing from the old days, kind of funny. But Rachel Levine was a man, now a woman. Assistant Secretary at HHS, Rachel Levine, played football with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs when they were in high school. Yeah. That's your Democrat Party in a nutshell.